This is Terry Kurtz On-Line reporting on Victor Valley, High Desert, and Mojave River Valley events, activities, entertainment, sports, and history. Joseph W. Brady reveals alarming and disturbing welfare numbers in our High Desert and Mojave River Valley communities.
The numbers are pretty deplorable. And what's deplorable about them, and I've had people say this, and those that are going to watch this are saying, Joe, why are you doing this? This is not a problem, it's our problem. So, and we go back to the year 2000. So in 2000, Terry, 19.3% of the high desert population of adults, 19%, okay, were receiving welfare. I'm not talking about Social Security, and I'm not saying that there are not people that don't deserve welfare. What I'm saying is that we have people on welfare that shouldn't be on welfare. I feel very strongly. I also feel very strongly that we have a ton of jobs that we need to fill on up here. And paying people to stay at home is just not the incentive I think that we should have. So in the year 2000, we're at 19.3%, okay? We only brought in $156 million. Okay, people say, okay, Joe, what's a big deal? We had 21,779 people getting the cash benefit. Okay, Joe, what's the big deal? Okay, by 2021, okay, we've literally doubled. So if you look at each one of our elected officials who are on a 4-year cycle in the past can all say to themselves that they have been a part of it has doubled every 10 years. So now in 2021, 57.5% of our population is receiving it. And in 2021, we brought in $1,571,532,273.24. This comes from the county. So don't get mad at me, okay? Why do I look at this? This tells you the health of the economy, okay? And do you not think that people don't look at this stuff all the time? If I was Target, if I was Costco, if I'm Stater Brothers or Vons or Winco, I mean, all these places, there's like 1,400 places in the county that you can use an EBT card. Do you not think that those people are not saying, hey, wow, man, okay? Last year, Terry, check this out. Last year, from 2020 to 2021, we brought into the high desert cities $264,956,921.52, an increase of 20.28%. When I showed these numbers, Deb said, well, Joe, doesn't that include monies for COVID? I said, monies for COVID were totally different. We had people that were getting welfare, then they got the COVID relief, like a lot of people got, and then they got rent reduction and blah, blah, blah. So, so this is not sustainable. This issue with welfare, I think, is something that we just have to deal with. And I'm not against people on welfare. I'm against us encouraging people to be on welfare. I have known people that have been on welfare that have gotten off of welfare where people at the county have begged them not to go off welfare, because when you think about it, now check this out. Dollar comes from Washington and goes to the state. State takes a scrape, okay? So they got employees that they're dependent upon that money to keep that group of people employed. Okay, so you never want to let them go. One thing in government, you never let people go. It just doesn't happen. In my business, it happens. So it comes down to the county level, and then the county is the same way. So they take a scrape. So if the county loses a lot of people that are going off of it, they lose the funding. So I understand that we've almost liquored up government again for things like this. So I'm probably going to take this segment, Terry, and send it out to all of our city managers, and we got 5 great city managers. By the time we'll know, Dr. Hart, James Hart, is still the interim city manager on Barstow, and a great guy. He was with Atlanta for years. We have Jesse Flores in Atlanta, Nils Benson down in Hesperia. Just everybody loves Nils. Doug Robertson over in town of Apple Valley, and then Keith Metzler. I mean, Keith is like the rising star. So we'll send it out to them, and we'll send it out to all the council members up here, and we'll send it out to. We'll try to send it to Supervisor Paul Cook. We can't seem to even get him on the phone, much let's get a meeting with him. We'll send it to Don Rowe, who's in the 3rd District. We'll send it, obviously, to our great congressman, just a guy who's just knocking it out of the park. Jay Obernolte. We'll send it to Scott Wilk, who's the Republican leader for the Senate and the state, and we'll send it to Smitty. It's sad, and Terry, I will give you the numbers. I think you should post them in a chart where people can read them. They are real, and they came from the county. They didn't come from us. I'm going to continue to monitor this for as long as I'm humanly alive, because it's something that tells us how healthy our economy is. And while we have great opportunities in front of us, and I'm incredibly excited. This is something that kind of is that little dirty secret that we do need to do something about. So.
Terry Kurtz On-Line was brought to you by Down Home Grill in Victorville on the corner of Bear Valley Road and Ridgecrest Road. Bid fast and last. World-class auctioneers. Griner, Buick GMC in Victorville. Griner has the best damn used cars, period. Howard's, supporting and promoting the schools and civic programs throughout our high desert. Valu Quality Truck Body, family owned and operated since 1954. The Bradco Companies, our area's longest standing full service commercial brokerage firm. Iwanzak Law Firm, trial lawyers for serious problems. And by the Community Table Restaurant in the Holiday Inn in Victorville. The Holiday Inn, favored destination for travelers and visitors to the Victor Valley.
Serious legal problems? Don't go it alone. The other guys have attorneys just waiting to blow you away. Contact Iwanzak. Accidental death? Injured on the job? Contact Iwanzak. Business litigation? Vehicle accident? Unlawful detainer? Criminal litigation? Get the proper defense by going on the attack. Iwanzak Law Firm. Trial lawyers for serious problems.
Terry Kurtz here, throwing out an invitation for you to catch up with High Desert Sports Activities, your High Desert Sports Report, showing 3 times every day on Victor Valley TV, 7 and 11 every morning, 4 every afternoon.
What time is it, sports fans? It's time for your High Desert Sports Report!
Your half-hour High Desert Sports Report, the area's only video action highlights coverage of high school athletes, teams, and sports programs, Victor Valley College Rams, and Barstow College Vikings athletic events. We hope you'll join us right here on Victor Valley TV. Many years ago, Our Community was presented by CYAP. Civic leaders, law enforcement, and education officials who are dedicated to making our community a safer, happier, more productive, and more prosperous place to live.
This is our community, baby.
Terry Kurtz On-Line takes us back to segments from a 2012 program.
Our host on Our Community, Giles Smith.
Thank you, Terry.
On this program, juvenile delinquency and the gang fight in our communities. We hear from law enforcer and town councilman Rick Roelle, sheriff's deputy Claude Morris, and San Bernardino County Chief Deputy District Attorney Gary Roth. Rick Roelle leads the fight against crime from 2 fronts, law enforcement and Apple Valley Town Council.
So Rick, how many years have you been in law enforcement?
Over 38 years now, Giles. I began my career in LA County in the early 80s and came to this department about 30 years ago. Did most of my patrol time in the high desert here, Victor Valley area, and specialized in patrol. And I worked narcotics for many years, worked corrections and internal affairs. So I've got quite a broad experience in law enforcement with this county.
Exactly what is a juvenile offender?
A juvenile offender is anyone under 18 years of age commits a crime as a juvenile.
What are some of the common crimes that juvenile offenders commit?
A lot of vandalisms, tagging, residential commercial burglaries, and car thefts. Usually thefts and those types of crimes.
I understand that the rates of juvenile delinquency is going down, or the gang rates are going down. What can you attribute to that?
Well, they're going down in certain areas. Overall, the trend in the country of the last couple of years is crime has actually gone down. Unfortunately, in certain areas of the high desert, crime has gone up as much as 30%. And you know, gangs play a big part in juvenile crime.
Gary Roth is San Bernardino County Chief Deputy District Attorney. How serious is the gang problem in high desert communities?
Well, I've lived in the high desert for the past 30 years. So I have and I've worked as a deputy district attorney primarily in the high desert for the past 30 years. So I have kind of a unique perspective. I've seen it as a resident, I've seen it as a prosecutor. And when I first started here in 1980, we didn't have a gang problem in the high desert whatsoever. I mean, it was very minimal, if at all. And we had 6 prosecutors in our office here in Victorville. Today, we have 30 prosecutors in the Victorville office, and we have a huge gang problem.
And it's probably still understaffed.
Well, yes, it is. But I mean, we've come a long way.
Yeah.
And it's to the point where we actually have a gang unit with 3 prosecutors who do nothing but prosecute gang members for committing serious violent offenses.
Smash, Shock, Pell. Programs with proven track records, fighting gangs and juvenile crime.
So, Rick, tell me about the PAL program.
Well, the PAL program is the Police Activities League, and it was first started here in Apple Valley a few years ago, and since then the city of Hesperia and the city of Victorville have incorporated PAL into their juvenile prevention system, prevention of crime, juvenile crime.
So, Deputy Morris, what is PAL?
PAL is the Police Activities League. It is a nonprofit organization that we've established here for the town of Apple Valley. It's AVPAL, and it started on the East Coast back in the 1800s, when, like, specifically New York Police Department. They started it as a quasi-intervention program with the youth in the area and a way to keep the kids occupied in a productive way off the streets and get it so there's a direct link between law enforcement and children in the community, so they don't fear us. They learn to respect us and work with us rather than running off. And under our PAL here in Apple Valley, we have 3 basic components. There's the youth center that we're located over at James Woody Park. Has multitudes of different things, keep them occupied in there. We do barbecues, different games with the kids, and it ranges from 10 years old all the way up to 17, just before they turn 18. There's the boxing program also, starts at 8 years old, and those kids have a couple hours, and then it moves in to the older kids, 12 to 18 there. Both those places are open Monday through Friday, and then the main program that we offer that has gotten the most attention is the SHOCK program. SHOCK stands for Self-Discipline, Honor, Obedience, Character, and Knowledge. It's a 10-week intervention program. So basically a breakdown of what PAL is for Apple Valley.
Well, how is the program funded?
It's privately funded through individual donations throughout our community, and then corporations and small businesses. And this is why we only accept kids that are either live in Apple Valley or are attending Apple Valley School District for the SHOCK program and boxing and youth center.
Well, this is not a boot camp kind of location, kind of program, is it?
No, absolutely not. It's completely voluntary by the children that participate in it. And some of the people view it as a boot camp, especially when they see Marines or that are assisting with our program. And then there is some yelling involved, but that's primarily during the start of the program, because we're trying to break down some of these bad habits that these children have developed over the years or months. And once we break down a group of those bad habits, then we start to rebuild them. The yelling subsides.
How do you expose youngsters to the realities of a life of crime?
Well, one way we do this, Giles, is through the SHOCK program. And we take the juveniles actually into the county facilities with the inmates and take them on a tour and let them see how they actually live in there, because the living conditions are not very favorable in county jail. The food's not very good, there's not very much freedoms in there, and we actually let them talk to inmates who are in there for serious crimes and let them see what the future holds if they commit these types of crimes.
One of the things we learned is no matter how quickly we can put gang members in prison, once we do that, the next day the gang is out recruiting new members. So if we want to stop the gang problem, we have to stop that supply of new recruits that are drafted into these gangs. And they're targeting our youth. They're targeting students, children as young as elementary school kids, junior high school kids, high school kids. So we recognize that. And the statistics show, actually, the people they target, the youth that they target, are children that are not in school. They're out on the streets, they're ditching school, they're truant, they don't have the support system that they would have in school, they're not involved in activities at school, they're not studying, they're out on the streets. They don't have a sense of self-worth that they get from being involved in wholesome activities. So they're ripe for the picking for these gangs.
Some legislative measures proved counterproductive, thwarting our community's efforts to reduce gang-related crimes.
So Rick, what kind of political activity can thwart your efforts as far as fighting juvenile crime?
Well, what it does is if they block funding for grants for juvenile intervention programs, it throws a wrench into it because, you know, counties and local government are strapped for money as it is. And there has to be an emphasis put on juvenile crime because it is a major problem. Another issue is like AB 109, where these inmates are released into society. Just in San Bernardino County alone, there's been 3 murders with AB 109 released inmates in the last year alone. So it's really detrimental to society and for peace in the streets.
Primarily, it's people coming in. That's a big part of the problem. That's the main part of the problem. And they're coming from the Los Angeles area, and they're moving up here. And so that's been the main cause of the rise in gangs here. But then when we prosecute them, they recruit new members. So what we have, to talk about those programs that we have, the intervention and prevention, we found in studies show that truancy by students is the main factor in preventing truancy is the main factor in avoiding the gang recruitment. So if we can keep kids in school, it's going to dry up the source of supply for the gangs.
It's very important. I think all law enforcement, especially here in Apple Valley, they have a crime prevention for kids. They have a juvenile officer. The school district out here has its own police department that combats truancies and things like that. So there's quite a few programs, and it's really enforced more so here in Apple Valley than other communities.
Well, you talked about the schools and how the schools work with the sheriff department. Is that working relationship working well as far as the juvenile delinquency rate, et cetera?
Yes, it works very well. Like I mentioned earlier, the Apple Valley School District has its own police chief and its own police officers and its own police cars. And they monitor the frequencies of the sheriff's department on the radios so that we work really close together to combat this problem.
What, if any, are there liabilities for parents if their child is considered a juvenile offender?
Yes, very much so. The parents are liable for the expenses of all the damages, and with the kids, with their children, if their children's vandalize something, burn something, they're liable for financial damage.
So Rick, how can people like us help fight juvenile crime?
Well, there's several ways. Again, it really comes down to the parents and families and siblings too. And there's other issues. There's the crime watch, the neighborhood watch programs. And really report when you see things that are suspicious in nature and trust that the police are going to do the right thing.
So Rick, you don't fight this issue alone.
Oh, absolutely not. No, we rely on families and churches and nonprofits, and we rely on the court system, the district attorney's office, juvenile probation, all kinds of different outlets to get involved with this. Youth football, baseball, soccer, all those groups help with the juvenile delinquent and crime problems. The more kids that are involved with those programs, the less time they have running around in the neighborhoods causing problems. So it's very important that we work closely with those groups.
So Rick, it sounds like to me that councilman here for Apple Valley, the town of Apple Valley, you like to see a problem and to analyze it first and to try to build a coalition of people or groups to help solve that problem with you. Is that correct?
Yes, that's very correct, Giles. We, at the town council level, we get lots of different complaints from citizens about different problems, such as James Woody Park and different areas of the town. And since then, we funded PAL, we fund the skate park out there, we fund different programs, after-school recreation programs. So we're very engaged at the local government level, along with law enforcement, to solve this problem.
So Rick, you had successes in different parts of our community fighting crime and juvenile delinquency, correct?
Yes, we have. One area is the village area of Apple Valley, which is they're called the Old Town. You know, it was the original business district of Apple Valley, and since then they've created you know, a PBID area down there, and tax money's been spent there to spruce it up, and we put extra patrol down there, deputies on overtime, and it's really combated the graffiti problem and the vandalism problem down there. And the same with James Woody Park. We put extra deputies in there. We've got the Police Activities League there. We've done numerous patrols to try to get the people from drinking in the park and things like that to kind of spruce it up. So we really did have some good successes in the town of Apple Valley.
So Rick, as you were talking about, it takes an average of $49,000 in California to put someone in prison. You prefer to spend any kind of resources on dealing with issues before they become criminals and we're forced to put them in prison?
Oh, absolutely. If a kid gets arrested as a juvenile and then moves on and gets arrested and goes to state prison, really it's like a college for criminals going to prison. So we want to make sure that they stay out of the detention system and get them early in life. So it's very important to stop that, because once they go to prison, the chances of going back are very high. In fact, the stats show that over 75% of people go back to prison a second time.
That seems like a complete waste of resources.
It is. It is. That's why we've got to put resources in preventing these kids from moving into the prison system.
One goal of our community is to introduce you to those who inspire us by becoming the best that they can be. Moving from the Rick Raleigh interview to showcasing this entertainer is not the change of gears it might appear. Carlotta Diggs is retired law enforcement. Vibrant and talented Carlotta, a career in law enforcement, a career as an entertainer. File under the profile, Carlotta Diggs.
Two have always coexisted because singing is where I find my joy and where I feel that I can share my joy. Now, the two have never intertwined, but they've always coexisted one with the other. I have always done one while yet doing the other.
What gets Carlotta Diggs through the toughest times?
What gets me through is my faith. I have a very strong faith. I have a very strong belief that my God guides me everywhere I go, and He is my reason, and He is my cause. And that's what gets me through. No matter what happens, I get through life on faith.
From Godspell, day by day, pretty well spell it out?
Pretty well spells out how I live my day by day, to see Thee more clearly, to love Thee more dearly, and to follow Thee more nearly, every day by day. How can people be so heartless? How can people be so cruel, easy to be hard, easy to be cold?
Advice to aspiring performers?
Most have not achieved the confidence that you have. What advice do you have to those who aspire but may feel reluctant or lack confidence? What's your message?
My message to them is to believe, always believe, because you can do it. You can do it. Never lose faith. If this is your dream, if this is what you want to do, never lose your faith. Now, it's hard work. It's hard work. There are going to be times that doors will be slammed in your face. There are going to be times you're turned down for auditions. But if you never stop working hard, if you're always willing to work hard, and you never lose faith, and you never let go of your dream, you can do it. Man, you ought to see him go, twisting the night away.
Serious legal problems? Don't go it alone. Going on the attack. Iwanzek Law Firm. Trial lawyers for serious problems.
Museums revive relics and histories of days long past to futuristic adventures bringing science alive. The Big Bear Museum takes us through the romantic and often exciting history of this community. Displays and exhibits reflect the importance and impact of mining in the Holcomb Valley with artifacts and a rare stamp mill. There's a furnished, authentic 1875 log cabin. Cattle ranching and lumbering were other vital occupations at the 7,000-foot level of the San Bernardino Mountains. There's ample machinery, antique glassware, historic photographs, memorabilia, in this picturesque community where it often seems time stands still. The Big Bear Museum is open throughout the summer, from Memorial Day weekend to the second Sunday in October. Open weekends, Monday holidays, and Wednesdays. A cautious cougar keeps a close eye on who comes and goes, and no Big Bear Museum would be complete without a bear. We encroach upon those of you who squirm at the sight of a cockroach to segue from history to futuristic displays at the California Science Center. The mission of this 252,000 square foot facility is to stimulate and nurture an interest in math, science, and technology. Exhibits include some live inhabitants. In the world of life, learn how a bat navigates through the sounds of its audio-sensory perception. Many exhibits provide interactive entertainment for youngsters, including the Solar Light Cars demonstration. There are opportunities for the youngest visitors to take delight in construction projects, while others participate in a video version of volleyball or soccer. Exhibits are elegant in design, avant-garde in presentation. Featured attractions are showcased periodically. On this occasion, the Titanic. All realms of science are explored, from the wheel to behind the wheel to the effects of flight in space. The California Science Center and its Air and Space Gallery are open every day except Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's Day. It's 3 stories tall, can accommodate up to 4,000 visitors at one time. The 5,000-pound hyperbolic paraboloid is an amazing kinetic sculpture. If a museum is to your choosing, but you don't care to leave the local area, there's the Victor Valley Museum. Featured are indigenous creatures of the high desert, alongside Native American artifacts, and many a fact-filled exhibit depicting life in the Victor Valley a century past. The Victor Valley Museum and Art Gallery on Apple Valley Road off Bear Valley Road is open Wednesday through Saturday 10 until 4, Sundays noon until 4. The historic Route 66 Museum in Old Town Victorville attracts visitors from around the world who find Mother Road memorabilia. Terry Kurtz here, throwing out an invitation for you to catch up with High Desert Sports Activities, your High Desert Sports Report, showing 3 times every day on Victor Valley TV, 7 and 11 every morning, 4 every afternoon. The area's only video action highlights coverage of high school athletes, teams, and sports programs, Victor Valley College Rams, and Barstow College Vikings athletic events. We hope you'll join us right here on Victor Valley TV. Terry Kurtz On-Line was brought to you by Down Home Grill in Victorville on the corner of Bear Valley Road and Ridgecrest Road. Bid fast and last. World-class auctioneers. Griner Buick GMC in Victorville. Griner has the best damn used cars, period. Howard's, supporting and promoting the schools and civic programs throughout our high desert. Valu Quality Truck Body, family owned and operated since 1954. The Bradco Companies, our area's longest standing full service commercial brokerage firm. Iwanzak Law Firm, trial lawyers for serious problems. And by the Community Table Restaurant in the Holiday Inn in Victorville. The Holiday Inn, favored destination for travelers and visitors to the Victor Valley. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Terry Kurtz On-Line.